Hello! Oh, we're back! Welcome to the video. Today's video is for week 4 of this quarantine. We are gonna do some questions and answers with another pilot, with Babe. Yay! Questions from you guys, answers from us. If you are stoked to hear the answers we have, then keep watching.
Here we go.
Without further ado.
Roll it.
First question is a relationship question from Jody Poole. How did you two meet and when did it go from friends to a connection?
I'll let you take this one.
I feel like this should be a whole separate video.
Yeah, probably should.
Should we just do that in a separate video?
Okay.
Okay. My question to both of you is about how long did your instrument training take and what was the most difficult part of it? And this is from Alvin. Ready to go.
I started at ATP with my private. So at ATP, when I went through, if you had your private, you started with a time build, which was 20 hours?
20.
And then you went into instrument. My instrument training and the time build I did in 20 days, which is very fast. I told my instructor, hey, I want to get through the instrument phase because that's the hardest phase. Private's pretty hard too. I just did double days on time build, kind of double days on the instrument phase with flying and sim.
I'd have to go back at my logbook and figure out how long my instrument phase took. I was in the ATP program, but it was self-paced at the time. So I only had to be available 10 days a month. I would do more than that, but my instrument phase was at least 2 months. It was a long time.
That's about average.
I'm thinking about becoming a pilot and I was wondering what advice you have for someone who does not know where to even start to become one and what you wish you did differently on your journey to becoming a pilot. That's from Hannah.
No, I would probably walk into a local airport flight school. In my opinion, I wouldn't go to ATP for your private unless you already have a great foundation of all the knowledge because the program's so fast. Whereas my private was done over the course of 6 months at a local FBO at John Wayne. So I was able to get a huge foundation before I went to ATP. So
I would have benefit from having had my private prior. At least you can do your discovery flight at your local airport and then figure out it's for you or it's not for you. And then you can start chipping away at flight lessons at your own pace, which I think is valuable.
And after seeing the way ATP ran, I'm glad I didn't go there for private.
I mean, I made it through ATP from 0 time all the way through doing my private with them. And I don't think it's good or bad necessarily. It's just certain people's cups of tea. I would have changed that. I would have gotten my private rating on my own at my own pace prior to go to ATP. The way I am as a student, I'm very stressed out. I procrastinate a lot. I didn't ever get to enjoy my flying. I didn't have the confidence because it just rushed me through and I had a paper that said I was qualified, but I didn't have the confidence that said I was qualified. I think I would have had more fun with it. And then I would have had more confidence going into instrument training and beyond.
Sometimes I wish I started sooner because I did so many things prior to. It's kind of like a second-ish, third career for me. Part of me is like, man, I wish I was 23 doing this, but now I'm 32 doing it. Not a big deal. All in all, I wouldn't change a thing because I have all my background knowledge that I use now. Just interpersonal skills, really.
My question is, how do you combine family and flying?
Ooh, it's kind of hard. The only way we're able to do it is our seniority in such a way that we can bid fairly the same days off when we're working. You're kind of at the mercy of your seniority. Higher seniority, the better family life.
Better quality of life in general. There's so many pros and cons. The cons usually have to do with the fact that it's just not the normal 9-to-5 job that people are used to. And so since the majority of the world that has jobs, they're closer to a 9-to-5, 5-day-a-week scenario. If we wanted to go visit family, it makes it more difficult because of the way that normal jobs work.
Yeah.
But when you think about our schedules, I like it and I prefer it. Getting to see each other 3, 4, 5 days off together sometimes, but then 3 or 4 days off where we're apart sometimes. So it's kind of like a personal preference. Do either of you still enjoy flying small planes?
Ideally, I do.
I know.
I haven't since.
In theory, I still very much enjoy it.
Yeah.
The last time I flew a small plane was when I was an instructor.
Yeah, I've done 2 flight reviews, but I wasn't flying.
We miss it if that answers it better. What's your favorite small plane?
Cessna 172.
It's like the only small plane I've ever flown, so I can't really
I don't know.
pick another one. Have you ever flown together? And honestly, who'd sit in the captain's seat? If we go fly in a 172, there is no captain's seat. They're set up that either of you can be PAC. It's only left seat in the airlines that becomes the captain's seat. How did you both balance your everyday lives while in flight school? That's from Emily. Well, flight school was my everyday life. Yeah. Portion of it, the early portions of it, I was working at Starbucks, and I would go to work at Starbucks in the morning from 4 a.m. until 11:30, and then I would get off and drive or walk down the street and be at the airport until like 5 at night, go home, shower, sleep, repeat. And I would just do all my studying at the airport, but it's like every other school. You have to prioritize, be good at budgeting, self-discipline. And if you do it wrong, you'll learn very quickly what's working and what's not working. What degree is Alex pursuing? And do you have a degree? Also, best study tips for check ride. What degree are you pursuing?
Business marketing. It works pretty good for our career. It's California Coast University and it's accredited. It's on the airline apps. Totally legit.
And do I have a degree? No.
But she'll get one, maybe.
And best study tips for check rides.
I think to read the ACS and go over the topics, know all the details about those topics, or know where they are to find them. That's your get out of jail free card. Look at the maneuvers, be able to do all the maneuvers within the thresholds of your specific rating. That's how I did it. I didn't fail a single check ride. Yeah, hair flip if I had it.
Using the ACS is the best guide. It's like the obvious one. But my favorite thing was going to multiple different instructors and having them do mock check rides to get me to think outside the box. And this was a tactic that I used as an instructor. The examiners, they can ask you whatever questions they want as long as the answer that they're looking for is what satisfies the requirements in the ACS. You have to be able to think outside the box. But other than that, it's like the same old, same old. Drink enough water, get enough sleep.
Study.
Brett Hensley, was military aviation ever a part of either of your journeys?
I was in the Air Force, however, I went and enlisted, but never really thought about flying in the military. Always liked flying. That's why I went to the Air Force, because I didn't really want to get my bachelor's degree. I hate school. That's what kept me away from that.
It just wasn't part of your aviation journey in particular. I always thought about joining the military.
She wants to be a Blue Angel.
Finally got to the point where I accepted that it was not going to be my life journey and I was just going to accept being a bus driver. If you were both told you could no longer fly, what would be your next career? The only other thing I'm qualified for is making coffee. First, I would probably see if I lost my medical or something, maybe ground instruction or training like in the Sims or something like that. So I would try to stay in the aviation realm if I couldn't fly. Other than that, while I was looking for my next career, I would probably go be a barista again because I loved it. Or I would try to make money with photography, but it would probably just be a bunch of like side hustles until I figured out what I could do.
I would go back into real estate real quick. High school, did the Air Force, got out, did real estate for quite some time. That's what paid for my flight school, then started flying. So I would just go back to real estate because it was fun, I was successful, and it worked.
Ariel asks, how difficult is it balancing school and being an airline pilot simultaneously?
It could be fairly easy or it could be a freaking nightmare. I was at a previous school. They wanted me to take some physics lab and whatnot. You have to travel with like this 8-inch metal rod and a toy car and all this stuff and set up all these experiments. And I told them, I was like, look, I'm an airline pilot. I'm literally going from place to place to place and I can't carry this stuff. It's illegal to carry. So what can I do to get out of this class? And they said nothing. So found out the current school, the California Coast University, they are super flexible. There's no timelines. Each course is set up the same.
She said she's torn between getting a degree first or going to ATP and getting to the airline sooner because seniority carries a lot of weight. I would vote going to ATP, getting to the airline sooner, getting the seniority, and then finishing your degree online. That way, the whole time while you're able to get your degree, you're building seniority at your airline. What do you use to edit your videos? Jen asks. Final Cut Pro. I started with iMovie and then this one got me a birthday present, Final Cut Pro. Did aviation bring you together? Peter asks.
Totally did, 100%.
Yes. Do you think this pandemic will affect your opportunity to get hired with a mainline carrier, assuming you want to go mainline?
I don't think it'll affect our opportunity in terms of like our qualifications and what we can do personally. I think it'll affect it on the timeline of when the airlines start hiring and they need us, because regardless, all the retirements are still happening.
There's even earlier retirements being offered.
And people are gonna go and travel again. So it's just a matter of time until it all ramps up again. How long? I don't know. So I think for us, it depends on where we're at in our life and what we need to happen for us and not sacrificing family for work.
As far as like specifically the pandemic, seems like once people can move again, I think our opportunity will not get hindered. It's just everything's put on pause. And then the floodgates are gonna open even more once people start traveling again because there's gonna be even less pilots. It's like retirements still had to happen, earlier retirements had to happen, and if people have to furlough, once travel resumes anywhere close to what it was already at, there's gonna be even fewer pilots and even more needed. Except for the fact that if there's airlines that close their doors because they can't handle this cost, then that means there's pilots on the streets. So it's kind of like gonna work out, a trade-off, I think. Ethan asks, if you had the choice as a new hire, would you choose living and being based at a city you've never lived in before, like Chicago in our case, or live and be based in the city you've grown most accustomed to throughout your life? This sounds like a very personal question.
Well, I think personally, it would be awesome if you have the ability and you can just pick up and go. There's really no ties at wherever home is right now. I would move around from base to base to base. I think that would be really cool. Different types of flying, different city. You can either choose to live in a crash pad or not, be a nomad. And that's like one of the biggest perks of being an airline pilot.
I think that was one of the biggest draws of this career for me, was that travel was the only thing that gave me so much joy. And I agree. I think if you don't have a responsibility to keep you, I think it is good for everybody to get outside their comfort zone. I loved Chicago. I would like to know if it is possible to pursue a career as a pilot in the US coming from a flight school in South Africa. I have no flipping clue.
I think you can, but you have to transfer all your certificates to American certificates first, FAA certificates. It's like a credit thing, like for college.
Did the cost of getting into aviation ever worry or make you consider not going into it?
For me, no, because I paid for it myself. I was fortunate enough to be successful in my previous career that I had the resources to carry myself through flight school, not working.
I feel like we both are in the same but very different boats as well, because I was fortunate that my father paid for my flight school. I didn't finish my degree, so I will have to pay for my degree. So it wasn't a big worry of mine as far as the ability to, but I didn't abuse it whatsoever, because I tried to support my everyday life while he just paid for school. Omar asks, what advice do you have for a new 20-year-old CFI?
Fly, 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 fly. Can't go to the airlines till you're what, 23? 3?
One?
Wow. Prior to that, get your hours and start your degree if you don't already have that, and have lots of fun.
Always call an Uber. DUI is not worth it.
Touche.
You're 20, but you'll be 21 soon. Second piece of advice is take care of your baby pilots. You never know who that person's gonna become in their future. So if you are an asshole to them, if you don't give them the time of day, they'll remember this, and you're gonna potentially be hindering somebody's future and their career. Don't forget how powerful you are in your position that you are now. So if you don't think you're cut out to be a CFI, then take care of them. Just take care of them. Kimberly asks, upgrading?
Upgrading, question mark? As soon as I can.
Can you read that?
Oh, for Zini.
Yeah.
What's up, Kim?
I'll upgrade eventually. I'm gonna do my degree first. DJ asks, do you read books? If yes, which is your favorite genre and book?
Yeah, school books.
He's not so much a book person. I love reading books, but I don't do it nearly enough. And my favorite is to read books when I'm at the pool or at the beach. For the last like 5 years, I've been trying to make my way through the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series. I'm on my 3rd one, I think, or 4th one. How old is too old to start a professional pilot career?
I don't think there is too old of an age, 65. But
Maybe.
You can be beyond 65 and go work for law enforcement, so there really isn't.
I mean, if you started and there's not enough physical time to get there before you're 65 or something.
I think the best answer is find out where you want to go, what's your end goal, and see if you can make it there in the time. If you want to be an airline pilot and work at Delta or wherever and have the time off you want, you have to see, okay, how much seniority do I need, and do I have that much time to get there? That's the answer for you.
Is it more work than it's worth kind of situation? No. I've known so many captains that have had that like midlife career change.
Oh yeah.
If you're gonna be happier that way, just freaking do it. How do you cope with unusual sleeping patterns?
They don't really mess me up. I can usually just go to bed or to take a little melatonin.
Knowing if I'm too tired, I'm not gonna work?
Yeah, I usually sit on the end of my bed and rub my feet on the floor, and it helps me go to sleep faster.
What?
Just kidding, just trying to make something cool up.
Roy says, for you, how did you accumulate the hours before moving to the regionals?
2 ways. I did flight instructing. I also did traffic watch. I was flying, not kidding, 8 hours each day. Some days I flew 12 hours in a day. I mean, it's really hard to do, but you can do it. Don't recommend it, but you can do it. So I think now what I would do though, if I didn't want to flight instruct, I'd go work for like Surf Air or like Boutique or one of those.
Corporate charter stuff?
Yeah, like a little charter thing.
Yeah. Get
way more experience. Yeah. Don't have to deal with CFI and...
What kept you motivated to keep doing flight training when externalities kept trying to push you back?
Big word.
When other crap tried to push you back.
It's gonna sound weird, I didn't really have any because I didn't let anything come into my life. Literally, there was nothing. I literally, every day it was 6 a.m. at the airport till about 1 or 2 in the afternoon. Then I went to the beach, hung out at the beach and studied. Then I worked out, ate dinner, and went to bed. Every day for 4.5 months.
What kept you motivated?
The end goal. I just wanted to get done. I wanted to get to the airlines.
My motivation, I would tell myself that if so many other people could do it, then I could too. There was literally no reason why I could not succeed at this. So when I sensed myself wanting to doubt myself or be lazy or quit, I reminded myself I had personally seen people that I had doubted their ability to become a pilot. They could do it, so I could do it too. I think I was probably like 12 or 13 and I had seen a quote, and it's always gotten me through like the tough times. You're so much stronger than you think. I found the inner strength whenever I'd remind myself that, and my own ideas of my abilities, that was what was actually getting in the way, and it wasn't the actual abilities. Another thing was once I decided to go to flight school, I told everybody. I told all my old teachers, my
So you couldn't back
friend.
out.
I sabotaged myself so that I couldn't back out. So I had to commit because I knew I would be more embarrassed to back out of it after telling everybody.
Yep, burn the bridge behind you, so the only way you can go is forward.
Aviation maniac. When and if one of y'all get promoted to captain, would y'all try to get corresponding schedules to fly together and become the ultimate flight deck crew?
Yeah!
Yes.
That'd be so cool.
We're gonna do our best to be able to do that before we leave this airline, if we can. I feel like we would work very well together.
Oh yeah, we've been in quarantine for 5 weeks or whatever it's been, and we're fine. Woo!
Jonathan asks, what are some costs to consider for general aviation? About how much would it cost to rent a plane for a few days for a trip? Like landing fees, hangar fees, etc. At least a few $100.
I would say like minimum like $300-400.
Is your airline laying the mechanics off as well? And would we consider ever transitioning to corporate? They haven't laid anybody off officially yet. Would you ever consider transitioning to corporate?
I would. How cool would it be if someone had a jet and they want us to fly it and we could just be their pilots?
I'd consider it, but at this point, I still am riding that airport high.
You just go to FBO high.
I did FBOs for all the student and instructor. I'd consider it, but it'd be more out of like necessity or boredom. Evil Cupcake asks,
Ooh, cool name.
what has been your most exhilarating moment when flying?
The first time I took off in a jet. LAX, 24 left, and I forgot every call out because I was just ear to ear smiling. It was super cool.
I feel like I remember that first moment and I was like, wow, it does really feel exactly like the sim. But once we got to the point where we're taking off and you can see the ground going away from you, I was very aware that there was this ginormous plane behind me, and then I was very aware that there was nothing below me. Sam asks, what is your best advice for someone who's just starting their instrument training, and what was personally the hardest part of your training?
It was instrument. Yeah, that was the hardest thing for me, and it was those darn holds.
VORs for me. VORs and OBSs.
Yeah, to and from was always like, huh? Advice for his training, I would be in the sim, because you can make errors and no one's gonna get you.
I don't know if you have that handy to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's also apps, like I did Hold Trainer.
Oh yeah,
there's an app called Hold
apps.
Trainer. Ooh, and for your check ride, what I would do, I'd fly all your lessons at 100 knots, take your check ride at 90 knots. Game changer.
Next questions are coming from Instagram. Lee asks, at what age did you catch the bald?
Oh.
It's supposed to be funny.
I was like, you mean like catch it as in like just embrace it? Or 18. Started at 18.
I love your hairstyle.
Thanks. I'd still like the option. But
I know this, but you're so handsome with it.
thanks.
What's your favorite route to fly?
Up and down West Coast of the United States.
Mine was actually going into New York from wherever, up and down the East Coast because it was so foreign to me. New York, whether it was LaGuardia or JFK, Boston. I remember Boston being beautiful. One Wheel Girl asks, I'm thinking about becoming a pilot, but I'm worried about not being able to have a family. Advice?
I think you can have a family. Again, it's gonna take planning. It's probably not gonna be the family that you're thinking of now, the picture.
When you're actually ready to start a family, unless it happens as a surprise, then make the adjustments you need to. If you're like, okay, I need to step away from the career forever, okay, well now you got to do the career. or you know your abilities to scale back. Like for us, seniority will build us the availability to change our schedules so that we can be home, or we can have our parents come stay with us to take care of the kid. It's like there's no reason for us to not be able to have a family, and we fully intend to have a family. We're not gonna make decisions for our personal life to aid our career. We're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna make the career decisions that will help our family life, but do our best to have both. Don't let it hold you back. Are there decent alternatives to building hours other than being a flight instructor?
Yes.
Banner towing, traffic watch, aerial surveying. There's like pipeline stuff. You can like fly around photographers for other stuff. Corporate cargo. There's charter stuff. What made you want to be a pilot?
Well, I've always had an interest in planes. One day I was driving by the airport and said, I'm gonna go take a flight lesson. Whipped a U-turn, went into flight school at John Wayne. The next day I took my first flight lesson. I just did it.
I wanted to travel. I wanted to be different.
You are that. Nah, that's a compliment.
I always did have an interest in planes as well. My dad always took me to air shows when we were little, and I had been flying airlines since I was like 3, and then nothing else clicked for me. Are you worried about being furloughed?
Yes and no. No, because I have my plans in place to where if I get furloughed, I'll still be able to bring in an income.
So you think there's a possibility, but you're not worried about it?
Yes.
I'm not anticipating it. I definitely would not prefer that. Somebody's starting ATP flight school in 10 days. Any advice? It's from Tommy Crocker.
Ooh, good luck, man. Tommy, good luck. No, I'm just kidding.
It's not bad. It's just, you have to walk in treating it as if it is like law school, medical school. Nobody's gonna hold your hand through this process.
Do not rely on anybody to teach you anything on the ground. Study yourself. Read the books. Yeah. When you go home and study, write down your questions and hand them to your CFI and say, answer these before we fly. Thank you.
Yeah, you have to teach yourself, but it's not bad. People always say that as if it's like wrong, but
yeah, no, get excited. That's what I would do for the next 10 days.
Yeah, just do it.
Do it, man.
Let the program work for you. If we can do it, you can do it. Do you recommend any of the cadet programs offered by some of the regional airlines?
I don't know, I never did one.
I did. I wouldn't say it was pivotal for me, but I think some of the cadet programs at the other airlines are way different than the one I went through. I think some are way more involved and you get more benefits. What do you fly now and what do you want to fly in the future if you move on? We both fly the Embraer 175 for now. For me, I don't care as much about the plane. I would prefer certain planes, but I would care more about the airline that's gonna offer me the quality of life that I want and an airline that I'm gonna be proud to say I work for. Do you have any idea when you'll fly again? July 1st.
Possibly July 1st.
As of now, that's when we're going back to work, so I'll keep you posted. When did you know you were gonna become a pilot? What age were you?
27. I was her age.
I thought about it in high school and wrote it off, circled back around. I knew I was pursuing it in 2013 that was 3 years after I graduated high school. Yeah, I was 20. Are you terrified when you hear of a plane crash?
Terrified? No. Devastated? Yes. Like when you hear or see a car crash, you're like, oh man, but that does not stop you from driving your car.
That's an opportunity for all of us to, if it's a crash, then we can learn from it and make sure that all those people's deaths were not in vain. Even if it's not a mistake, but learn from that situation to try to avoid it in the future so that nobody else has to die for that same reason. Last one. Trexie83 says cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, that's gonna be it for the questions. We didn't get to answer all of them. We chose to save all of the relationship type questions so that we could put them in our own little get to know us as a pilot couple video. You okay with that?
Soon, yeah.
Thanks to everybody who sent questions, whether it was on YouTube or Instagram. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I liked it.
See if I can do more of these types of videos with other pilots. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like the video, subscribe, be my friend on Instagram, hit the little belly thing, all these other things that people on YouTube like to say. That's all. Okay, bye.
See ya.